What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are back for AOR Silverstone. If you saw my video from the other day, I did SRL at this circuit as well. You would have seen that the pace was very good, and I'm looking to kind of back that up in this Grand Prix as well. I've done even more practice. I've found some minuscule gains with the setup. I feel like the car is maybe a little bit quicker over the course of one lap. Car feels a little bit more edgy in the race, but I feel like it's a good balance that we have at the moment, so we should be fine. I actually made that change in my very, very last practice session before going into this race. So literally 10 minutes before the lobby started. I didn't actually practice with this change to the setup, but I had confidence that it was going to work because Ryan used it in his race and he was pretty quick. The same race that we were both practicing in. Anyway, it's time for qualifying now. We want to be getting in the 25s in this session. Hopefully deep into the 25s. Over the course of practicing this week, I never really felt like I nailed a lap, but hopefully we can do so in this qualifying session. You can see Ryan has set his lap already. He gives me a cheeky bit of slipstream as I decided to do 2 laps on my first run of tyres. The tyres are pretty versatile, these soft compound tyres. You can run them fairly deep into the race, and I thought I'd just give them an extra go. There's no real quirkiness with the strategy today. It's a pretty straightforward race. Qualify on the qualifying tyre and then do the middle stint of the race on the middle compound, which is the mediums. So heading into the next stint of qualifying, I decided to pay back the favour to Ryan, give him some slipstream. Unfortunately, to my knowledge, Ryan invalidated his lap, so it didn't really count for anything anyway. So we're about to go out again for our final run here in quali. I've done a 26.3, which is decent, but when I set the time, it was like at the start of the session. I mucked up certain parts of the lap, and hopefully with a much more tidy run, the track being more rubbered in, we should be able to dip into the 25s and secure a top 4 spot in qualifying. I at least want to be on the front 2 rows of the grid, challenge from there. It's going to be a huge slipstream fest. The tow that you get around the circuit is absolutely ridiculous. Even if you are dominantly fast, there's not much to say. You know, that doesn't mean that you're going to run away with the race. You need to be pretty lucky in order to break out outside of 1 second, and if you can do so, you'll be absolutely set for the race. So it's a bit of a circus as we get ready to start this final run here in qualifying. I was trying to get some track position. I overtook Greek on the out lap, and then I couldn't really get past Jared and Drop Bear, unfortunately, so I decided to follow these guys and see if I could stay in the tow of Jared, because I know it works in the race. You can actually go faster in the dirty air, so I thought I'd risk it for the chocolate biscuit. I don't think I was going to lose any more positions than what I have anyway. P5, there's a bit of a gap to the cars behind me anyway, so even if I stuff up this lap with the strategy of doing this, I feel like we'll still start P5 or 6 anyway. So here we go on our flying lap here. You can see we're purple to the first sector. I don't know what my actual first sector split is, but hopefully it was like a 26.9. I think that's a pretty good first sector split, but either way, we are up on our time just about. We need to find a bit more time through the middle and third sector respectively, through to Copsy old turn 1, 7th gear through there. It's actually a lot more understeery on this game versus 2017 for some reason, but that's that. Through to the S's, nice and flowing through here. The car responds much better at high speed with the changes that I made to the setup. Jared actually pulls out of the lap, so I stuck it out there in the dirty air for the entirety of this lap to hopefully get the benefit of these 2 Mercedes in front of me, and then they pull out of the way at the last second, right when I was going to get the benefit. So we did all that hard work for no avail now, and we're going to come across the line and maybe only marginally improve on our time through the final kind of chicane there, and up to the line. It will be a very, very low 26. It is a 26 flat, and that puts us 3rd place on the grid for this British Grand Prix. Greek Master improves at the end. No, actually it was Ryan who improved at the end. He did a 25.6, so he's absolutely pulled that one from the heavens, and pretty much matching what the best guys on the Xbox platform can do with that time. That is absolutely insane from Ryan. If I get a perfect lap, might have been pretty close, but you know, I never even hooked up a perfect lap all week, so that's that for me. My pace lies in the race, but we don't exactly have the track position at the moment to match it with Ryan. I'm a little bit worried about Warden. I feel like his pace or his consistency might be a little bit all over the place. Greek Master is going to be solid and challenging Ryan in this race, so he'll be one to watch out for. So hopefully I can get some track position here, maybe pick up 1 or 2 places, make it a Ferrari 1-2, and all in all have a good day out here in this British Grand Prix. We've got a lot of margin to make up in the championship constructors-wise. Let's see what we can do. 5 red lights, and away we go for this British Grand Prix. Looks like Greekmaster didn't get off the line very well there. Warden slots up into 2nd place before we even get into turn 2. So that's a great start from him there. Greekmaster up next. He goes very defensive into turn 3, so we're going to go right around the outside with supreme amount of confidence. It turns to the inside for turn 4, and that gives us a spot on the podium. A bit of a yeet into that first sector, and it has provided dividends. We now have a bit of track position. Next up is Warden. Let's see if we can close the gap to him as much as we can. Greekmaster squabbling away and defending from DRC Jared, who was pretty eager to get in front of him as well. So it's all very crucial to stay with the leader here. If you lose that 1 second margin to the car in front, it can be quite difficult to claw that back. And Warden looks like he's really struggling on this opening lap. This is what I was worried about with Warden's consistency. He has a really bad run there. That slows me up as well. And now we're going to be overtaken by both Greekmaster and potentially Jared as well. I'm trying to stay in the slipstream of Warden here to look after myself. It's a bit of a shove wide from Greekmaster as well, and we lose the place to Jared. So all of a sudden we've gone from challenging P2 to now down in P5. So it's not been the ideal start to this British Grand Prix. DRC Jared and Greekmaster going side by side through the final corner. There's a bit of a touch. Greekmaster's gone. Greekmaster is out of the running for this race now. He's got damage. He touched the wall there. I think that was a bit of desync as well. Let's have a look at the onboard from Greekmaster going through Stowe. Bit of a touch on me there, which, you know, it's alright. It's whatever. But we go through the club section. He's still side by side with Jared. He has to leave the space on the inside. I saw a bit of footage from Jared's POV, but it's low quality, so I didn't put it in this video. But they didn't really touch on Jared's screen, which is really unfortunate, and it's resulted in big championship implications. Greekmaster down towards the back. He's got front wing damage, and from here, he's going to have to make a pit stop, possibly going onto the hard compound tyres, which is the worst tyre you want to be putting on in this Grand Prix, and he's going to be limping it back home to the end of this race now to see if he can get some points. So that is the scenario for this race. Greekmaster needs a safety car. I need to clear Jared and Warden to close in on my teammate New Zealand Ryan. We were doing practice, and not going to lie, I feel like my pace was really, really good. I honestly was backing myself to win this Grand Prix, even from 4th place on the grid, I think it was. You can see Jared is struggling, running out a bit wide there, so no matter who's in front of me, it seems like they're struggling with understeer, struggling to keep the car on the circuit. And for me in the early stages, I was really just, you know, keeping the car in check, keeping the battery usage nice and low, looking after the fuel. Even though it looks like I'm trying to overtake Jared at this stage, I'm not burning too much of my ERS at this stage. But yeah, lap 3, we're just cruising, settling into this race at the moment. Ryan is building up his lead at the moment quite a bit. I think it's like 3 or 4 seconds at this stage. It looks like initially Warden maybe not quite up to the challenge in terms of race pace to match it with Ryan, and I was kind of urging Jared on to get a move on here because Ryan was running away with his race. And here he goes, big old yeet up the inside into Stowe. It's side by side for these two, and I'm just like, oh my god, sort it out, get it done, do what you need to do so that we can move forward and get on with this race, because all this squabbling is just allowing Ryan to get away. We lose over a second there, well, about a second on our best time there, so yeah, it's not great. Jared taking an absolute age to get this done, and with these two going side by side, I'm just looking for an avenue to go up the inside or around the outside, or just get a better drive compared to these guys, and we finally get the opportunity around the outside of Warden now. Overtake is engaged, and that is us into the podium position. So now hopefully this can unlock us pace-wise. We can now be free to up the tempo a little bit and catch up to Ryan. The car up ahead you're seeing is actually Quicksilver. That's not Ryan. That's a lap car already on lap 6. But now I'm trying to put the pressure on Jared here to up the pace, because it looks like, I don't know, I felt like personally he was still holding me up a little bit in this Grand Prix. I was getting a lot of dirty air, a lot of wash from his car, but he had better straight line speed, so he was keeping the track position. So I was getting held up in the corners and I couldn't really overtake him in a straight line unless I got an absolutely perfect run, which was very hard to do. And in order to execute the overtake, I'd have to use up a lot of fuel and battery to do so. So it was a very it's lose-lose situation. I had to wait for a mistake. Like right here, Jared loses the back end out of Cops, or not Cops, the you know that section of the circuit. It's up the inside now into Stowe, and we finally get the job done 8 laps into this race. So that's like a third of this race, or a quarter. So there you go. Gap is 4.6 seconds to Ryan, which is pretty substantial in a race like this where, you know, my pace and Ryan's pace is very similarly matched. I'm going to have to pull out something really special here to win this race from here. So we'll see what we can do. We've now been unlocked. We've got track position now. I've baited Jared to go into the pit lane. Ryan goes in on lap 9 as well. So now I'm doing the overcut, just like I did in SRL. I feel like this is a good strategy for me because there's a bit of a warm-up phase for the medium tyres. They are a little bit slow on that first lap. And like I said, I'm pretty good on my tyres, I feel like, at this track. And I just wanted to push the envelope, the extra lap, and just see what I could do on older tyres. We're only a tenth down on our personal best, 10 laps into this stint, which is pretty insane. So here we go into the pit lane now for our one and only stop in this Grand Prix. If only like what could have been if I had clear air from the start, just following my teammate Ryan, we could have absolutely ran away with this race. Such was just the calamity of the first lap, getting held up by Ward, and that was just the catalyst for us not being able to contest in this race, unfortunately. But rejoining on the circuit, it's going to be close between me and Jared, I believe. He is effective P2 at the moment. It looks like he's going to hold that just about. The undercut just about getting him in front there. And now, for the rest of this race, we have 1 lap fresher tyres. This is why I opted for this strategy. You don't really lose out all too much, if anything, doing the 1 lap overcut here at Silverstone. And from now on in, we have an advantage over Jared. So the pace should be even better than what it was in the first stint, because now we have 1 lap fresher tyres and even Ryan, but the gap is still about that 5-6 second mark. But now we've got to negotiate HO here. He's really sticking it out long on the soft compound tyres, 13 or 12 laps now, so that just shows how far they can potentially go. I think lap 10 is probably their last good lap. After that, they'd probably start to drop off. But either way, HO really braving it out here on the old tyres. Let's see if we can get the move done here. Overtake, rich fuel mixture. I don't want to get held up by him any longer than what we need to. Up the inside, into Stowe, and that is effective P3 in this Grand Prix. So now let's get our head down. We've managed to overcut Warden, who came in a little earlier than us. Fens has got 3 lap older tyres than what we have as well. He's in our slipstream though, so he's just being pulled along in this race by our speed, and now we're just kind of sitting behind Jared again, waiting for that opportunity, waiting for that mistake where he either burns too much fuel or ERS to the point where he then has to save, or he just makes a mistake. And here we go up the inside into Brooklands, I think it is. It's side by side through this little loop section, trying to get the best run out of here that I can, expelling a bit of my battery now to get this job done. Again, more squabbling that is going to allow Ryan to get away. There's no real chance going up the inside there into Cops. Just thought I'd try and bamboozle Jared into getting a bad exit and set up the pass into the S's, which looks like it has worked. So there we go. Second place for us effectively in this Grand Prix, with Master Berserk, I believe, still needing to make another stop. That'll mean it is a Ferrari 1-2 for the moment, with 10 laps to go in this race. And that is the gap to Ryan, now that we finally have clear air and the damage has been undone from lap 1. Unbelievable, isn't it? So now let's see what we can do now that we've got clear air. We'll have 1 lap fresher tyres, so that will be a slight advantage for us in terms of pace. So we'll see what the times are, doing 29.5. So as this session went on, I was just getting faster and faster and faster, being able to run my own race without Jared hassling me all too much. And though in saying that, I had to use a lot more of my battery to keep Jared behind, because I was running, I think, slightly more downforce than him. I was a bit better through the corners, whereas Jared was just cruising on the straights, using like no ERS at some points, which was insane, and still keeping up, if not getting very, very close to overtaking me. So in terms of a race setup, Jared has set the car up quite nicely to be in a position where he could still get P2 in this race. We're getting quite low on battery and on fuel, but I feel like we just about have him covered for the moment. We can still push with rich revs to the final lap, and we're just about getting to the stage where we can go flat out with a battery. I just have to save it through the S's, and then we should be fine. So through here, nice-ish exit, but then here I make a mistake. I accidentally flicked up my differential up instead of moving my fuel mixture up, and that was the difference. Jared was alongside me before I even got into rich, and that was pretty much game over for that position. So now it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle now to get past Jared on this last lap of this British Grand Prix. You can see I'm trying to get a nice exit. I have to lift off here to not, you know, lag spin Jared like he did to Greek Master. So that's left me weak up against Fens now, who's looking for an opportunity in the turn one. So all of a sudden, just that one tiny mistake of not flicking up the fuel mix because I bumped the button accidentally before switching has resulted in us potentially losing second place in this Grand Prix. We'll see if we can get him back though. Running really low on fuel now, really low on battery, but we just about should be good enough to get to the end here, but we're just not close enough to Jared to make this move stick. So it looks like Jared is going to get away with second place here. New Zealand Ryan, my teammate, absolutely dominant drive, gets away with the victory today, and we're all over Jared as we come across the line. It is P3, but crucially, our first podium in AOR. So at least there's that. So there we go, guys. That has been the AOR British Grand Prix. I just watched back my footage of me commentating there, and I apologize if it came across as if I was like, I don't know, complaining too much, like, oh, Jared's holding me up, blah, blah, blah. That's not the case. I'm just trying to emphasize that I could slightly go faster, if that makes sense. But I'm sure lots of other people in this race could testify to having better pace, better runs, whatever. We all have tales to say, but there we go, that is the race. The results screen disappeared very quickly there, but Jared overtakes us there on the last lap. The top three, and crucially for myself, I finally don't have a penalty in a league race, which is somewhat of a rarity for me. I did my absolute best to avoid cutting the track, which was, you know, a real challenge for me, which I finally have managed to pass the test. With that result, with that podium, we now move up into 6th place in the driver's standings, 55 points for us. Big old gap to H.O, who is on 99 at the moment. No points for him today. Not too sure what the deal was for him. Greek Master having a nightmare, 8th place. That means the gap in the championship now is only 10 points between Ryan and Greek. I'm going to flip over to the team championship. I don't focus on that all too much, but now that we've closed in, it is 62 points from Williams to Ferrari. So all to play for heading into the new year. Second half of the season of AOR. Not too sure how many races I'll have before I move, but I'll be looking to bridge the gap in the drivers and the constructors nonetheless. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Pretty good race. Lots of overtaking, lots of strategy, drama. That Greek Master incident was very unfortunate. I think Jared has been sent to the stewards for that one, so I might leave a... I don't know. Do you want to see the incident? It's pretty crap. Jared really didn't make contact on his screen, but Greek Master spun out. That really needs to be sorted out so that we can race closer. That's it from me. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.